Begins, guys. Thank you for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast, where we talk all about them Pittsburgh Pirates and that. My name is Josh. Today is April 22nd, and I am back home. Back to the normal setup. Pirates haven't lost a game since Sunday. So, day off Monday, and we're riding into two series in LA coming up this week. And I believe this is going to be a short one today, mostly because day one back at work is a long day. Tired. Had a long day recording this pretty late just because of everything else. And wasn't feeling too good tonight, so just waited a little bit longer. And we're good. 6 straight games in LA, 3 of them actually in Anaheim, but they call it LA, and then 3 in LA against the Dodgers. I don't have words for what to expect. This team has been all over the place. They could go out there and win 4 of 6 somehow, one way or the other, and it wouldn't surprise me. They also could lose 6 straight, and it wouldn't surprise me. So it's kind of hard to tell, but I feel like, and I have no proof of this. Obviously, none of us do, but at some point, you got to have the feeling that these series is maybe this road trip in general or something like that is a big one. In the back of my head, I did kind of wait a little bit today. I waited a little bit to see if there was any kind of news that was coming out. If there was any kind of Derek Shelton news or anything like that was just going to leak right after I recorded. But nothing so far. And it just makes you wonder if each series, each road trip, each stretch of games gets any worse at any point. You've got Bailey Falter, Andrew Heaney, Carmen Mlodzinski going in this series. It could go any way, right? Andrew Heaney going back to Anaheim where he pitched for many years. But you're 8-15. You're in last place. And this has been a mess. As we talked about on Sunday night's show, things are just messy, right? And so in the back of my mind, and we'll talk about this today, and then we'll get into the series and everything as we get through the week here. But in the back of my mind, there is a chance that this is kind of a big series for Derek Shelton. There's not much precedence for making moves early in a season for a manager. I remembered that there were some really early firings. Phil Garner in Detroit, 0-6. And when I looked him up, I found that Cal Ripken Sr. also 0-6 in his time in Baltimore for his final season when he was fired. That's very, very early. Obviously, we're beyond that. And they didn't start that way. And I think the Orioles ended up like losing 15 more when I think Robinson took over. Was it Frank Robinson took over at that? And then he ended up, they lost 15 straight, like the historic worst. I think it was late 80s. I don't remember. But either way, we're not that early. We are into April. This will get us to essentially the last few days of April. But next Monday is off as well. And I also don't know the precedence of, I know that, like, I'm trying to think of some of these guys who were fired recently. I remember Joe Girardi in Philly, and who did Snitker take over for in Atlanta? Freddie Gonzalez. I know that they were fired somewhat early in the season, but I don't think this early. I don't think it was this early. I know the Braves were in Pittsburgh when that happened, right? They were in Pittsburgh and he was fired in the middle of a series. And then the next, like one day it was Gonzalez, the next day it was Snicker. But I don't remember when, and both those managers are still managing those teams too, which is kind of wild. But I don't know necessarily what the precedence is. I know the Pirates just haven't done this. They haven't made moves this early in the season. I looked back as far as I could remember. I mean, Hurdle with one game left, obviously. I think Bill Verdon was one that was let go. They brought Murtaugh back. This was only because I looked it up in the 70s, in the mid 70s. And I think he had already managed 130 plus games. And then after that, I don't think I remember seeing really anyone that was mid-season. I could be wrong about that. I was just kind of looking through from what I could find. Obviously, none of that really matters, except for since Bob Nutting's been in charge. I mean, what a guy previously, or really even Ben Sherrington, right? Because even what Huntington might have done, Sherrington may not, or what Huntington wouldn't have done, maybe Sherrington would. We've never seen Sherrington do anything like this and have any firings or anything. So I don't know if they don't just ride out the rest of the season with Derek Shelton. That's very possible. I could have seen it happen today. I could see it happen after the season's over. But, as we talked about on Saturday, if you're going to make roster moves, do you make a managerial move in the process of that so that you have somewhere to kind of push that stuff onto or anything like that? I mean, all of this stuff entirely possible. And it's worth considering right now. There's a lot of talk about it. Michael on SteelCityPirates.com wrote a piece about when you make a managerial move. I encourage you to go out there and read that. I won't spoil any of it. Go read it. It has us all thinking because we're directing our anger to one place, and there's really a number of places that we could be upset. And the argument that we made Sunday mostly was it has to be that clubhouse might be too comfortable. It might be, I don't, the words are escaping me right now, but there has to be something to shake something up. Things got to look a little different. If you go on a road trip here, and the Angels are a beatable team, the Dodgers are obviously the super team that the Dodgers are. So you're going in playing David and Goliath at Dodger Stadium for the weekend, and weekends have not been kind to us so far. As a matter of fact, if you look at Friday, Saturday, Sunday, outside of I'm kind of looking I mean, one win against the Marlins on Friday, one win against the Yankees on Sunday, none against the Guardians and the Reds. So you've got 2 wins so far this season on the weekend. It doesn't really bode well to go up against the Giants at that point. I don't think it really matters what day you're playing for these guys, but it's baseball. So we'll talk all the different scenarios we absolutely can. But it's going to be interesting to see how this week unfolds. And if they go out there if they come back with no wins, if it's 6 straight losses coming off of 3 straight, right? So you're talking 9. If it even gets to the point where you're coming back where you've won one of those games, you have a day off Monday at the end of that road trip Sunday night. I could see decisions being made. You have a day to sort things out and for everybody to process things before the Cubs roll into town on Tuesday, the 29th. So, I guess that's my thought today on the day off when we don't have an actual scenario to talk about, when we don't have, a game that just happened and so on and so forth. You spend a Monday, which Mondays are Mondays, right? You spend a Monday thinking about stuff like this, and I had something with O'Neal Cruz that we were going to talk about on Sunday. And I was going to bring that up, and I decided, you know what, now's not the time. Let's wait until, we can save some of those numbers for another day. Maybe O'Neal does something while they're on this road trip. Maybe O'Neal plays all the games. Shouldn't be a maybe, but maybe. And we'll see where he's at. But I'm going to watch closely how Derek Shelton handles this week. It seems like managerial decisions are not always based on wins and losses. Sometimes it's in the dugout things. Sometimes it's, the way that the relationship between manager and general manager are, which that one seems to be strong at this point. Maybe it's sometimes is the manager and the way and his relationship with the media, which at times can be pretty tense right now. We're getting a lot of the same answers, and even more so than we have with typical Derek Shelton, which he does say a lot of the same things. But there are many factors, some of them being things like what McCutchen said this weekend when he talked about playing time, and those aren't my decisions, those are someone else's. And you know what I mean? You have things like that weigh. When McCutchen talks for this organization, for this city, when McCutchen talks, things get put into motion. And I think that that's pretty common. Pretty common there. Kutch carries a lot of weight, specifically with this owner. And so there are things that he can say that will raise eyebrows more than if anyone else says it. But we talked Sunday about some of the things that we've kind of heard or seen or whatever. And, I do question whether that clubhouse is rallying behind Derek Shelton as much as they used to. And I think these McCutchen comments maybe carry a lot more weight. If Ben Sherrington still has that strong relationship with Derek Shelton and thinks he's the guy, he's not going to make this move. But if it comes from above him, that's where I'm trying to understand is when does Bob actually step in? Because it's not his thing to do that, right? But when does he actually step in and say it's time to make a move? That's what I'm watching for. If they go to LA for this series or this road trip rather, and come back with one win or none, I mean, at this point, you're just buying yourself time. All the wins that you can get, you're just buying yourself time. I think it's unless they turn this thing all the way around. Guys, they're 8-15. Anything that I would have thought this team was capable of might already be gone. Right? I mean, I called for 81 wins. That's not a great season by all means. And I'm now saying that this is bad. I had a floor of, I forget what I said, maybe 73, 75 is my absolute floor, which was where their line was. So it was an easy over for me. But I mean, they're going to hit that floor. I mean, it's going to be worse than that at this point if things don't change. And if you make a managerial change, maybe it does get worse. But I think at the same time, if it's not getting any better, what's the difference? Do something to change that room. because if it's not getting better, you're going to go down a path of a year where you get another 100 losses and then can everybody and start all over. But if you make a change now, you get those wheels into motion very, very early and let it be known. And like I said, you just take a shot that there is some sort of rallying that you can do around someone new. There's a shot, regardless of whether it's a good one or not. I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at with this series. And I don't know. Listen, we're going to talk about it all week. I don't want to waste a whole lot of time here. This could be it. That's my thoughts. As always, appreciate you guys listening. Thanks for listening to this one. Go back and listen to Sunday's show, Monday's show, whatever. If you're audio, go back and listen. Me and Jake go a little long talking about a lot of things. It was a good time. So thanks as always. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Let's go Bucks.
Thanks for listening to the Bridge to Buctober podcast. Subscribing to your platform of choice is the best way to be notified for new episodes. And now, new episodes every weekday. Remember, live shows with my dad and Uncle Jake are Sundays at 9 p.m. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and join them in the live chat every Sunday. Follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Bridge2 Buctober. Clear the deck, cannonball coming, and let's go Bucks!